Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Kushti. How you doing?
Doing well. So my pleasure to be here again
It's our pleasure to have you here, Kushti. It's
on the
fantastic.
MA.
Yeah. What's new this week, Kushti? What are you working on? What are you cooking?
So a lot of things going on, but based on questions asked in the community groups mostly. Let me prioritize the following order. So in the first place, Maxi integration is going on. We have a daily chat with the developer. It's pretty okay. Yeah. So we're answering the questions like daily, and based on that, it seems the integration is going on.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of how different Ergo is than EVM chains and that kind of thing, at least with integration goes. The questions that they ask. It's interesting to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah, but I believe they should have a lot of knowledge about UTXO as well, right? Because, a lot of proof of work chains, including UTXO ones there. So, yeah, I don't know. So, let's see. So, yeah, it's going on. What else? So, a video on Sigma chains appeared, and there were a lot of questions recently in the group. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to answer all of them, so maybe it makes sense to make a community chat in like 2 weeks. Next week, me, Dan, MHS, Spectrums, Ilya, and probably more folks will be in Dubai, so probably not much time for community chats and so on. But yeah, in 2 weeks we can discuss, and I will also present Sigma chains to some folks in the city. We'll probably also address some feedback. So both from community and from investors, let's say, and other folks. We are thinking about organizing some small events, maybe in Dubai, but yeah, let's see. Probably not a meetup this time, just something informal.
Are you speaking at all there, Kushti, on any panels?
No, not really. So yeah, I will just visit token 2049 and meet some folks there. That's it. Let me jump on protocol development. So currently I'm working on 6.0 EAP by doing some example for a new method implementation, which is a big part of 6.0, and I'm writing instructions on the way to then invite contributors. So it seems that the attempt I did before, so just inviting contributors to work on that was not very successful because of complexity of adding a new method to Ergo tree and then to Ergo script compiler. It's also pretty hard to do projection for any beginner. So I am eliminating some unused codes on the way, thinking about refactoring and so on, and also doing some tests of versioning to be sure that new features would be handled properly by the node. So I'm doing also some stuff on the node side. And then, after 6.0 EAP being done, I will invite contributors, and in case of successful that, so the work will be parallelized in regards with 6.0, and I will work on finishing sublocks EAP then, and then also inviting contributors and also leading development there. The plan is like that. The current plan. Checking the nodes code for refactoring possibilities to make sidechains implementation easier. A lot of work as usually.
Krishti, it looks like you're working on 5.1 node. What are the difference between that and the ongoing chain of 5.0, 22 or 21 node?
6.0.
You have in dev update, you integrated Rock's database branch into 5.1.0?
For 5.1, yeah, so I'm testing it still, we'll take a look to database a bit more, to configuration and so on.
Is the advantage of Rock's database is it's easy to recover from like corrupted databases and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so it seems to be more stable. So, level DB is not that stable, which is understandable because drivers are not updated since 2018, native drivers for operating systems. For RocksDB, there is official support for those native drivers, and so they been updated regularly. And in regards with performance, it should be better, but yeah, I am currently checking database settings. And then there is also disk space usage, and I need to check concrete numbers, but RocksDB could be better because it is not creating a lot of small files, I believe. Not so much losses on cluster size for some file systems. I need to check all those claims a bit more. It's going on. So there was planned. It was planned to release 5.1 this week, but I do prefer to do more testing and tweaking. Let's see, maybe next week it would be possible. Maybe it would be messy. Especially if we'll have some meetup and so on. So, anyway, it's possible to use it to build jar and so on. Some folks already doing that. I've provided also custom jar to some folks to test. There is some information currently about supported platforms, and it seems Rock's DB is not so impressive here as level DB, so less platforms supported. For example, 32-bit Raspberry Pi devices,
ARM devices, yeah,
not supported. But yeah, maybe it's better to support less, but with higher quality after all, right? So let's see. So for many months,
those can go in parallel, Kushti, like have a special node for smaller devices running on the old style database where it's compatible.
So for many months to come, both 5.0 and 5.1 will coexist. And then, probably only with 6.0 there will be only RocksDB, but maybe even we can release both 6.0 and 6.1 at the same time. Let's see. It will depend on feedback and so on. So it's hard to predict how things will go there. All right. What else? So also Dexi. So currently I'm issuing mainnet tokens, NFTs for contracts, rechecking parameters and contracts and so on. So well, mainnet deployment is going on slowly, but yeah, let's see. Maybe this month in May, it will be released finally. It depends also on Spectrum support and so on. So yeah, let's see. A lot of small tricky details, but yeah, it's going on. That's probably all. So there was a good developers update yesterday with a lot of updates from different projects. But there will be a Sunday video. Do you have any hints who will be with you?
No, I haven't. The inspiration hasn't come to me yet, Kishti. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Did you watch the Glizzy edition last weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Oh boy. All right, let me take the Sigs update. I know Dan came in. Welcome, Dan. Hope you don't mind sitting through me before we get to you. Is that okay?
I do mind, but you know, what choice do I have?
That's right. I'll just do it anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that's exactly what you'll do. It anyway.
So SIG meeting went pretty well last week. We went over our treasury items. We went over our pie voting. I pinged Louis in channel. I said, "Hey Louis, are Sigmanauts the highest users of Padilla, biggest testers?" And he said, "Yep." And I said, "Are we the most annoying people with feedback?" And he said, "Yep." So that's good. That means we're trying to make Padilla as good as it can be with feedback to Louis and Louis' group in the front end. But it's honestly an amazing tool. I think I've put up what is it, 13, 14, 15 proposals so far. We've all voted on them, and other people have put up proposals too. So Padilla is going very well. It's pretty good. We're the current votes we have up may drain some of the treasury that we put into Padilla, so we may have to put up another vote to dump more funds from an actual multi-sig wallet into the treasury again, so we can continue to pay out directly from Pi. So that's super cool. Sig's mining pool is going pretty well. Mark the Shark keeps on making interface changes and updates. Ergo is hosting and making their own platform as well, dashboard. Rustin as well as helping. We're going to distribute the server keys for Mining Core to a couple of the members. I think Mark is free today sometime, so Mark's gonna dive into that and get access to it, just so we kind of decentralize ownership of the actual core server for Mining Core. For the Stratum for people to connect to. So that's going to be great. I think we just got 3 blocks yesterday, which is fantastic. I put in a vote to Padilla to buffer the mining core, the node wallet that we're mining to. Currently what happens is when you find a block, it takes about an hour to confirm, and then it's about 24 hours before our node address can go grab it from our mining address. So miners usually have to wait 25 hours on a PLPNS, whatever that acronym is, pool. So the solution is to make it a little faster. We can buffer the pool. Let's say we're finding 3 blocks a day. That's what, 80 something ergs. So if we put 100 ergs into the node wallet, as soon as that block is confirmed after an hour of finding it, Mining Core will try to pay it out until it comes. So if there's money in the wallet, it will pay it out. So that'll act as a buffer, and then 24 hours later, it'll pull it from the mining address and we'll be good to go. So we're going to do that. The vote's up. It looks like it's going to pass so far, which is great. Our Sigma Lock app on Padilla looks like it's going to pass, or it did pass. I didn't check today, but it was 8 yeses and 1 no. And the one no was just one of the Sigmanauts saying, I hate rubber stamping things, so I'm just going to vote no on all these proposals that say yes. So that was fun. Let's see. For things coming up next week, Sisyphus Push, HQ, and myself, we're going to be working on some sort of brain work or framework to kind of revive some important things in the ecosystem that maybe don't have time or funding for. And one of those things that's hot on the list, at least for Sisyphus Push and other people, is Sky Harbor. Everybody knows by now that Sky Harbor is having issues with the cost of a content delivery network to where things are cached. Right now, when you go to Sky Harbor, things are pulled directly from IPFS, which can be slow, and your ISP can also block that, or they'll block you thinking you're spamming them trying to download 100 NFTs at once from IPFS. So you may get like broken links and broken pictures. So the idea is, let's come up with a framework. Perhaps Sigs can, the contracts are open source. Either Sigs can work with helping bolster and fix that, or come up with some other server hosting solution to pre-cache the images ourselves, or something like that, or write a simple interface to the front end of it. We don't know. This was just a discussion that we had. So we're going to dive into that soon and see what we can do to help that out, because it's considered a very, very important part of that ecosystem. I think Coffee was going to sniff around Eternal wallet to see if what it involves in integrating us, just asking those kind of questions. Hey, just like we did with Exodus, maybe we'll get a no, maybe we'll get wait till your top 10 kind of thing, but doesn't hurt to ask. We're going to make a proposal, and hopefully if it passes, take some of the SPF we have in our treasury, as well as some ergs we have in our treasury, and add it to the SPF liquidity on Spectrum right now, or Ergo Dex, and then we're going to collect those farming rewards. So it's a way to utilize the Sigs treasury fund to actually, make some more funds. And that also coincides with a vote that passed last week where we're going to take about 2,500 or 2,400 SIG USD and put it into the lending pool. It's the money that's marked for what's it called, for Vegas to pay for the booth, Dan. So before we pay you for the booth, it's going to sit in this stuck pools pool so we can make some interest off it, and then we'll split up the payments and bring the interest back to us and send the funds to you. So that's pretty cool. I'm still working on a framework for security for Discord groups, as well as what it looks like for coming into a community like Duck Pools or like Greasy Sex or Bulber or those kind of communities. If we can give them a base framework of things to follow, like here's how you do support, don't do ticketing systems because anybody can fake those and you'll get your money drained or that kind of thing. So these kind of things. And what struck me yesterday is we can enhance this and actually use this as a marketing tool, because on Twitter yesterday, I saw a pretty big influencer say, I just had all my staking drained. Everything's gone in my wallet when I looked this morning. And people are like, well, what'd you do? What happened? And she said, well, I had a call with somebody to check out a game that I could promote, and they had me download a small app that I would run. So I'm thinking, here we can take the security document that we're making for communities and add on like a general influencer option to say, like, look, if you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be interacting with people and downloading apps, here's how you use a VM. You can use what's the Oracle one that's free, and put a Linux install on it, or we can have a hosted one where they can download and run it inside a virtual machine that's sandboxed from everything else. So then we can use that kind of security document with the Ergo logo and Sigmanauts logo stamped all over it and push it out to the crypto ecosystem. And if that gets adopted and picked up and says, hey, here are some rules of thumb you should follow when setting up Discord servers when influencers are talking to people trying to get them, then our name will get broadcast out, at least that way. So those are some things we're working on in Sigs. We're we're really trying to crank it off, and of course we're always looking for members. Dan, we're waiting for you to join the Sigs, that's for sure.
Really? And so, what do I get if I join the Sigs? Do I get like a cool jacket or like a pin or a badge, secret handshake?
I'll make whatever you want if you join the Sigs and come to some meetings, Dan. 100%.
Really?
Custom.
So, okay, let me ask you a couple of things. You said you got a treasury, right? So like, what is that about?
So treasury, we essentially got a seed funding from the Ergo Foundation of 5,000 ergs to start. And then there was an instance where we were also allocated about 28,000 ergs from, or maybe it was less, from the Ergo Foundation that was facilitated around the MEXC listing fundraiser. So that was great. And then we got some 4 million THZ donated to us by some anonymous whale that had it. We got about 160,000 SPF donated to us, and then some asshole gave us 323,000 greasy sex. And then we have some various tokens inside the wallet as well. So I think what it shows that is that if if community projects want, if projects in the Ergo ecosystem, believe in the community of Ergo and believe in Ergo, and they want to, bolster the community, and they see this community effort and they say, look, we believe in this and this is how much we believe in it. That's, I think, what these donations have meant to us as far as that goes. And we haven't taken it lightly, but ever since he started rolling in, we're really cranking it up.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we're actually going to be starting our own IDO. The first one is going to be for the Ergo community, with RS Erg for Palmyra, for the Palm economy. So, let me see. How do I put it mildly? I think it's an insult that you don't have any Palm allocated for your Sig, whatever treasury that you call it. Yeah. You
I
call it
agree.
A treasury?
I agree, Dan. Yeah. What are you
All right.
suggesting?
Let me think. What am I suggesting? How about the Palm economy in honor? I'm going to honor us. No, I'm not going to. Just celebrate everything that was possible because of Ergo. To celebrate the Sigmanauts and to basically, a real decentralized organization that is not, one of these, who runs your chain? So who cuts the checks on your chain? Bullshit. I think it's actually, it would be our honor to donate $50,000 worth of Palm to the Sig treasury.
Holy shit, Dan. Are you serious? Are you just pulling
Yes,
our
sir.
tail? Dan, that's fucking amazing.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding.
Shit.
Don't worry.
That's amazing, Dan. Thank you so much. I'm blown away, Dan. Holy shit.
I always supported what you guys are doing, and I always really enjoyed support from the Sigs for what we're doing. So, once the token launches, which is going to be very soon, 50K worth of that is going into the Sigs treasury, and we'll figure out the details later. But as a thank you to you and to the community, well, not to you.
Yeah, not me. Fuck me.
What do I have to thank you for? I mean, to you, the community, we would like to extend this to the treasury, and this token could do okay for everything that we're doing. So
That's amazing.
Hopefully
Dan.
you can put it to good use. Aside from getting better backgrounds for your AMAs.
This is a classic Ergo background off the awesome Ergo GitHub, Dan.
Actually, I like that. I like that background. Dan, surprisingly.
Dan, thank you so much. That's absolutely amazing. I'm blown away, and it just makes I feel it makes us even more invigorated to what we're doing here, and confirms the current Sigmanauts and maybe future Sigmanauts in thinking that, holy shit, if we're doing this and projects believe in us and you want to support the community this way, then they're doing this. It's I don't know what to say, Dan. I'm lost for words. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
For the first time.
I know, right?
Well, like I said, we've always enjoyed support from the community, from the Ergo community, and just Ergo itself made it possible for us to build what we're building. So this is the least that we can do is support the Sigs. I hope other community organizations don't get upset with me. But QX is holding one of my puppies hostage. That's why I'm doing it. No, he's not anymore. Not anymore. So anyway,
No,
that was the big surprise. I was gonna unravel to you. I reveal to you during the AMA.
That's an amazing surprise, Dan. Amazing. I think the Sigs. Let's see, anything going on in the Sigs channel? Let's see. Nope, but in chat, people seem pretty pleased. That's amazing. Yeah, fantastic, Dan. I don't know what to say.
Well, actually,
just you talk, Dan. I'm done talking. I can't talk.
Well, I think Canon Q is telling you to break out the hot dog suit, QX. Damn it, this is a celebration.
Not on the AMA yet, Dan. Not on the AMA
yet. Okay. Well, let's try and get there. So in other news, so myself, Alex, and even HMS, not HMS Pinafore, MHS Sam are going to be in Dubai, and so hopefully one of these days, me and Alex will figure out exactly where and when this Ergo meetup going to happen in Dubai. But I think it should happen. There is definitely a possibility for this to happen. Some really good venues. There's going to be really good attendance. So we're going to try our best to do it. And as soon as we figure out exactly when and where, we will spam you with the details.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm thinking about something informal, maybe, because I believe everyone is busy, so no time to prepare a talk for a meetup, even.
Oh, well, it doesn't even have to be a talk, we can just do what we did in Austin, where you weren't, unfortunately. But just have a good time, connect the online with the offline, have some people, just enjoy their each other's company and have some laughs. I think that would be good too.
All right. Then I don't know. We can just occupy some coffee place or something like that. But let's see. So it seems there will be some events, not just talking next week. So yeah, I have to check, and I can also ask local peers.
Do they have Waffle Houses in Dubai, guys?
Waffle Houses? You mean IHOP?
IHOP, yeah. Sorry. It's
yes, they do. Song. They have two. I've been to one of them. In fact, my hotel is conveniently located adjacent to the mall that's got one of the two IHOPs in Dubai.
Wow, that sounds like an ideal place right there, guys. I bet you could rent it. I bet you could rent the whole thing out.
You could rent the whole thing out, but it's Dubai, so get ready to, dance some tables for change because you're not going to be able to afford it. But we'll figure it out. Me and Alex will keep talking, and we'll figure it out the next couple of days, and we will make it happen because I really think it would be a good place for the Sigs or not the Sigs. You got the Sigs in my mind now. Get out of my head.
You're done.
Get out of my head. For Ergonauts, for the Ergs, to come together and enjoy each other's company. So we will make that be known to use once we figure it out in the next couple of days. Of course, if there's been other things happening in the background, like I said, a lot of work has been done on the Zengate side, of course, and the Rosen side as well. So that there is continuing work. Work continues on the Rosen side. They're rolling out some products right now for EVM as well as Bitcoin. EVM especially is exciting to me because we're gonna need to bridge some of these things to EVM that we're doing, and so I will be. I have vested interests in Rosen Bridge's success, and I will utilize it, and we will utilize it. So really excited about that. That's about it. Just been traveling a lot and making things happen, and hopefully it'll all pay off real soon.
And by the way, QX, any updates, aside of Sigmanauts? So maybe some drama in the community. I don't know.
You want some drama? Well, I got some drama that I forgot. Not drama, but something cool. So Cannon actually pinged me a month ago and said, "Hey, man, your school is doing a big blockchain conference in New York City at the Roosevelt facility that we have. Cornell owns rents most of the Roosevelt Island in between the two bodies of land for their tech campus." And he's like, "Why aren't we doing it?" And I was like, "All right, let me do my best." So I wrote the person, and I didn't hear back. So then we pinged him from the official Twitter, and I wrote him again. And she wrote me back Monday. And the idea is they're having, like, I think it's Cannon. If you could put in chat the people that are going to be there. Everybody can Google it, though. I think, like, Chainlink's going to be there, Polygon, maybe some of the big names from there. And there's large sponsorship events as well. I think maybe Cass is going to be there as well. But anyway, so she wrote me back and she said she'd love to have somebody from our college on the digital fashion / art panel, as well as our DAO panel. We'd also be honored if Ergo is eligible to offer any support for the conference as well, which perhaps the Sigs can come up with an idea to fund some of that. Maybe there's a tier that we can afford. So I think that's fantastic. So I guess the question is, it's at the end of this month, which I can surely go to and sit on the panels. But Kushti, are you going to be busy at the end of the month? You want to come to the US?
Yeah, I think so. So, I will return from Dubai on 21st. So, I will need to work. So, I don't know.
Okay, all right, I'll keep you guys updated. But Cannon, I think Cannon's initial request was, "Hey, let's get Joe or Kushti. Are you there?"
But also, you know a lot more about DAOs, right?
No, I know. But it's nice to have the famous faces of Ergo there, as opposed to just the hot dog guy, as far as that goes. But so I'll keep everybody attuned to that. I'm going to write her back today and try to Zoom with her and see what her ideas are of what those panels are. But I'm super excited to talk about it and go for it. Yeah, super excited. So that'll be nice. Is there drama? Is there drama, Kushti? Let me think. Is there drama? I can't remember if there's any drama this week. I don't know if there is. The Sig chat has been fairly congenial. Nobody's really rage quit. A couple weeks ago, Austin rage quit, or a month ago, Austin rage quit. Somebody else rage quit before that. You know what happens?
Did he rage? Did he rage return?
He no, he gently returned. Out like a lion, in like a lamb.
Oh, okay. As long as he raged returned, that's good.
But no drama there. But I forgot to mention too, Duck Pool's round 1 has been fulfilled, phase 2.1, and we're already leaking over into phase 2.2, and there's 612 raised in 2.2. So 53,684.21 raised for phase 2.1. Phase 2.2 is coming up. It's crazy. It's amazing. So that's great that Crassus said that they're going to be able to start working development on that for phase 2.1. But Sigs and Ergo members, Ergonauts, don't forget, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more phases that need fundraising. So keep that erg flowing into the DAO there. Get those tokens and be part of something that you can actually control and run. I know that's a big scare for a lot of people, and people don't get that let's be part of something that we can't blame other people for other than ourselves.
So QX, hang on 1 second. So is any of this true? Are you going to get drunk again and dump all Palm live on Crooks?
If you send it directly to me and not to the treasury, it could happen, Dan. It could happen.
Well, definitely treasury it is. Most definitely.
At the end of
You're not getting your drunken hands on this, Palm.
At the end of the dev update, I had like 100 Heisenberg token, and we were looking at CrooksFi. And in Heisenberg, for those of you that don't know, has like 5,000 ergs worth of liquidity locked for I don't know how many years. So it's like solid. So it's essentially a number go up, or always up from what you bought it at. Usually, however it works is people keep buying. It's one of those kind of things. So there wasn't a really risk that I saw. So I bought it at, I think I bought 100 ergs worth. And then the next time I looked on the live stream, it said 187 ergs for the cash in. So I felt we were degen hot dog mode anyway. Let's dump on live TV. So I dumped my 100 ergs worth. It was quite fun, and I was a little drunk too. So let's blame it on the whiskey. Let's go into questions. Right. How about we go into questions, guys?
Yeah, so it was the first question actually.
That was the first comment. That was the first comment, QX. Okay,
my bad.
All right, you're bad indeed.
But seriously, so it seems Crooks is going quite well, right? All those Degen tokens.
Yeah, it's really funny that my first thought when I'm going to trade these things is to go right to Crooks Finance and not to Spectrum, just because it's filtered. I don't know. It's just a theme that, hey, I'm going to deal with meme tokens and degen tokens. I'm just going to go to Crooks and do it, even though it's the same damn smart contract.
Yeah. So it's basically the same smart contract and the same UI, right? So just CSS tweaked a bit, so like color scheme and some features removed. But yeah, it's pretty much the same UI after all. And same wallet connector. And so it's good to see that Crooks is doing well, as well as Duckpool's DAO. So it's also going well. So that's what I've forgotten about actually. And so there was a very recent message from Duckpool's guy. And it seems 2.1 reached 100k in CQSD pool, treasury growing, airdrop soon. Airdrop or what? I don't know. Things looking good. Airdrop. Yeah, so check the Duckpool's second round. It's looking good. And it seems comments are massively spammed by Bobber guys.
Kushti, I gave you 5 Bobber the other day. Did you buy any more yourself, or are you just getting tipped Bobber?
No, they're just sitting in my tipping wallet along with a lot of other
billions of common
tokens. Not billions, but probably I have I don't know, maybe 10 million of commit and lots of greasy sex. I don't know why someone donated. Probably
that's probably Austin.
Now I have Bobber. I have a lot of Kushti love and so on. So I think things are going quite well for my tipping wallet. I don't even know what's there, to be honest. All right. Do you have? Do we have any more?
It looks like there's a question from Canon Q for Alex for you about sidechains.
So it's when sidechains. It depends. Currently there is a concept, right, and it's not finalized. There are some features needed for sidechains, probably for more trustless pegging, to trust minimize pegging. So I'm going to publish things, and we're also looking for partnerships here, right? To do useful sidechains, not just sidechains for sidechains. And then with that we can Yeah, well, look for developers around, right? And to talk about timeline. So stay tuned. So yeah, Joe is actively working on that.
Kushti, do you think there's any chance that you could future pay developers with some sort of diminishing what's it called? Diminishing emission contract on the chain. So if you figure out a way to fund these change and incentivize miners, perhaps some of that could be branched off to the developers of that original chain, so they could get emission payments, as they diminish for a certain amount of time on the chain, essentially.
Yeah, there are some examples here, like in NXT, but I don't really like that example personally. So I used to be a co-developer of NXT community. Then at some point there was a takeover by commercial company Hellrida. And for the source codes of NXT, they introduced Hellrida license. Before that, before introducing that license, already like 30 to 50 maybe different forks were launched, forks of NXT. So for some reason, a lot of folks were passionate about forking NXT back in 2015, 16, and actually some spin-offs were actually grown to be much bigger than NXT itself, like NAM. So initially it was just some token on NXT, and I believe Codebase also was taken. Then that commercial company, Hellrida, introduced Hellrida license, and the conditions of using the source code was you have to designate 10% of emission of forks to Hellrida commercial company, right? The issue is that, that Hellrida is not paying to earlier developers such as me, for example, right? So that's very strange, I think, even from legal point of view, but I don't care. So we can imagine some better options, maybe.
True. Good point.
So a lot of options here. About that Hellrida, so they even went into court with some fork, and that fork even emailed me about appearing in a court in the US, and they offered me some money for claiming authorship or something. But that was time consuming, and I was busy with Ergo development.
Only you're too busy to get money from a lawsuit because you're coding, Kushti.
But all that stuff, I don't know. I don't like it, to be honest. All those courts and legal stuff and so on. Let's see. I guess, there are a lot of ways to do that in an elegant way. And,
listen, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to jump off and keep running. So, I trust you. Well, I trust Alex. I don't.
Don't trust me. Dan, thanks again for your announcement. That's I'm still blown away.
All right. Well, you're not getting it. The Sigs are getting it, and
of course.
And I have Echo to thank for that advice.
Yeah. Echo's a very smart man. That's for sure.
Anyway, guys, All right, have a good one. I'll
All right,
see you
thanks,
soon.
Dan. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you soon. In person.
Is he gone, Kushti? Can we talk about him now?
Yeah.
All right, what else we have for questions? We have a question from Less Complex Life, Kushti. They want to know how does Ergo and will they compete with it? How will they compete with Ethereum and Solana in coming years, considering Solana's got a massive budget and a bunch of VC cucks that will just, jizz money on anything.
Yeah, so let's see. So, well, in the first place, do we really compete with Ethereum and Solana? So, I believe different people, right? In those ecosystems.
All right, let me branch off that question, Kushti. What do you now everybody remembers your quote from a month or two ago where you said, Bitcoin is a store of value or digital gold, Ergo is, version 2, everything else is just something else. What are your thoughts on what the hell Ethereum and Solana is in the future? Not just, we know what Ergo, and we know essentially what Ergo's goal is in pushing forward there, but from your point of view, what do you see as their main use cases there? As whether it be centralized and just buddied up with Visa or something like that, where, everything's done through a government-controlled, central exchange or tracked, that kind of thing, or what's your idea of how those function in the future?
I don't know. So the thing is, if, for example, there are now some complaints against Uniswap, right?
Yeah, right.
And those complaints, well, it seems partly because of tokens, right? Governance tokens, because they are given governance and governance rights and also dividends rights, basically fees. And Solana and Ethereum are no different, right? And the proof of stake cryptocurrencies. The tokens are giving you governance rights, right? And also dividends, basically, we are staking. Maybe then they will be heavily regulated, but it's hard to imagine, right? How proof of stake blockchain could be regulated. Let's see. And proof of work cryptocurrencies are very different here, right? So it's hard money backed by electricity burned. And governance is not coming from tokens, right? It's coming from hash rate, right? So again, electricity been burned, and there are no dividends. It's very different backgrounds, right? And on top of that, very different ecosystems, right? So. When you have Solana, something like Solana, right? So basically, what you have is money printer, right? And then some distribution on top of it, right? And it's hard to compete with money printer, right? When you are not printing money. Like Solana, I don't know, foundation developers, what's there? Right, so basically it's Solana Foundation, right? Got money printer and then sold something to VCs, public, and so on, right? And sponsoring development and so on. With that, you can't compete, right? Really, if you don't have another money printer.
Mm-hmm.
In the long term, I believe that a money printer is grid's corrupting force, right? So, when you have a money printer, it's not helping you in the long term. It's corrupting you, right? So then, somehow I believe those money printer systems would fail, right, in the long term. The only question is how. So. Let's see.
Yeah, my case there though is that people will just move to something else at that point. They'll move to the next money printer that's just starting out, some sort of stupid clone or version from there. I don't think that's gonna. The thing that makes Ergo unique, I think, is that it'll see itself through all of that. So it'll always be Ergo, always doing what Ergo does, in one straight timeline where you have these money printers just last for this long, this long, this long, this long. All the while, Ergo is continuing to do what it's doing and doing its thing. So, yeah. It's interesting to watch those two things at play. So are you saying, Kushti, in short, that you feel proof of work is more uncorruptible and more unstoppable than proof of stake in that context, at least when it comes to governments cracking down?
I think so, because here there is separation, right? So developers are not controlling, right? So much like everything, and they are also do not have money printer, right? So the only option is to buy, right, proof of work tokens with electricity, and those tokens are not giving you governance rights, right? There is no promise of dividends. It's only existing on application level, right? So then, risks are moving there, probably.
Understood.
In some jurisdictions already there is distinction, right, between proof of work tokens and centrally issued tokens. They already consider it as different classes of financial instruments. And I think with time, in regards with that aspect, the distinction will be even more clear. Also, if we are talking about corrupting forces, right? So they also quite different, right? So developers are not getting tokens, right? Currently from emission, and in Ergo there was treasury, right? But its emission finished in 2.5 years after the mainnet launch. So for 2 years, right? At the moment, all the tokens are going to miners, but some miners are buying them, right? And then it's a very different system of balance and checks. Sometimes painful, right? When you don't have money for tier 1 listing and so on. But also more fair, I believe, after all. Right, and more resilient, more survivable.
I think that's a key. I think that's a key, that it's the resiliency of Ergo when you don't have these soft money pillars holding shit up. There's nothing to collapse there as far as that goes. So while in these other chains you see, let's pay thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's how we get developers. In Ergo, it's more like, let's provide these toolings and this opportunity, and developers will understand what the value is coming to Ergo, and they will build based on that and try to build projects that will then be beneficial to them and the community. So of course we want, builders to make profits off of their applications. And then I think that's got staying power, Krishti. That's got much more staying power than hopping from whatever chain's going to pay you the most as far as right out of the gate. So Ergo's got that going for us, I believe. We've got the pillars aren't made out of VC money or cash. And I think the developers that are here because they want to, and they understand the opportunity that they're taking part of and what Ergo is. So I just said it twice. So yeah, that's my point of view, at least.
Yeah, and at this point, I think, well, it would be good for developers to think about money, right? And, there is nothing but in getting money from funds, even, right, whatever. Yeah, the core development should be separated from that.
All right, let's see. We got another question here from Dijep. What can be done to stabilize block time to improve UX? Any call to action for the community? So we've had a talk about this, and what they're referring to, for those who don't know, sometimes the difficulty can change depending on, the difficulty changes depending on the hash thrown at it. It's a dynamic quality that softly scales up and down as blocks come out, as the epochs occur. And what can happen is sometimes you'll get, average block time is 2 minutes. So sometimes you'll get 1:30. I've had 2 blocks like back to back before, or you'll get a 4 or 5 minute block time or something like that. And it's always funny. It always happens. Sometimes when you're trying to send something real fast, you always hit that 4 or 5 minute block. So as Diep says, that's a user experience concern as far as that goes. So there is a group that we initially started in Telegram that I think my test node is still running actually on one of my machines. We essentially copied mainnet node, same parameters, everything, and we were mining it. Or we started to mine it. And the idea was we were going to play with parameters to see if we could soften the curve so that the difficulty wouldn't drop so much essentially when that occurred. But it's fairly complicated. It takes a pretty concentrated effort to do it. So all I can say is that if there are any community members out there that really feel strongly about this and want to do this, please talk to me and I'll bring you into the channel and you can champion it. It really only needs a champion. There are people that are willing to run nodes. There are people that are willing to point their spin up a stratum on one of the nodes and point their hash to it, even a CPU hash. So it just really needs a champion. It's really too much for me right now at this point. So anybody that wants to, jump into that and really make it their mission to try to figure out, hey, is what these guys did when the ETH merge happened afterwards, is that the most efficient formula for doing this? Or are there some tweaks and more balances we can do to kind of even that threshold out? So please do. If I urge the community, champion that kind of stuff. There's only so much the Sigs can champion at this point. And hop on and do it, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so, there is a big deviation, right, in block generation time. That's, property of any proof of work, actually. So sometimes in Bitcoin, you have to wait for 2 hours or something like that. There are some arguments that this is indeed more secure, right, in the presence of adversaries which are trying to jam the network, right? If blocks are coming on schedule, for example, then you can do spam attacks around.
Time spam attacks. That's a good point. Yeah.
Around those windows, right? To time windows, and even worse. So there are some quasi blockchains like Solana where next validator is known Then you can just spam the next validator, right? Which is much cheaper than spamming the whole network. And so on. But yeah, well, those quasi blockchains like Solana, so they're not secure even without adversaries, right? So, well, sometimes those networks are halting even without active attacks, just because of natural laws, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane, because usually when you design a blockchain system, so yeah, you are thinking about active attackers and so on, not. And well, if the network is dying just because of, well, natural laws, then yeah, well, what can an attacker do with that? Like anything.
You know, the thing that really impressed me about Ergo a couple months ago, I think it was, maybe it was 3 or 4 months ago, is that you guys put out reference node 5.0.14, maybe it was, Kushti, and there was a glitch in it, right, where it locked up on an indexing height of something. So things like Ergo Explorer and mining, anything that needed the index, like the Gold Oracle token, kind of halted if they were doing that. But it didn't matter, because there's an array of nodes that are out there still all talking to each other. 513, 5012, 5011, 5010. Heck, I think there's even like 507s out there, Kushti, that are still cranking out. That still kept the network running, you know, and the amazing thing was we just backed down to 513, waited for a fix or whatever that was, and spun back up again. No database issues whatsoever. It worked fantastically. So it's just the flexibility of that moment was kind of eye-opening, that this is pretty hard to stop.
Yeah, so that's what also was discussed, right? So there were some proposals to have auto update for nodes and so on, but yeah, actually it's good that different versions coexist. So if there is some bug introduced in a new version, right, then the network can still survive. But going back to faster block times and UX. So in the first place, for some applications, it's worth to do better support for chain transactions still. Right, and then, yeah, well, sub-blocks will help, hopefully, right? Well, I will jump on that after proposing 6.0 to contributors, right? If they will be so. Well, I need for like 2 or 3 developers working on 6.0 features, then I can just review those features and well, jump on finishing sub-block design AP. And yeah, then we can start implementation. Well, actually, there are some entities in the code already done in regards with peer-to-peer layer and so on. So, well, we just need to jump on that and finish. But then, yeah, with sub-blocks still, there would be need for support from applications.
And you said you're doing EIP 50? You chose a 50 number for this?
50 for 6.0 and sub-blocks, I don't know. I will choose another number. And yeah, so we also need for contributors, well, for cleaning APs and so on. So yeah, I'm well, calling periodically for people to join Ergo Devs DAO, right? And yeah, a lot of things in the ecosystem to clean up and to polish and so on. As usually, so well, it's kind of endless work, probably.
It is. Let's see, what time? Oh, we got 10 minutes after. Let's see. I offered some people some greasy sex or some bober if they came up with a good last question. let's give them a minute or two to really think about it. We'll see. Maybe people are asleep. I don't know.
All right. So, Dan Kushti, what do you think of Bobber and the tokenomics and its mission, if know about it? So, honestly, I don't know much about Bobber tokenomics. Is it fully locked as well?
Yeah, so what he did is he had 10 stages of locking, so they're all spaced out within months apart. So he locked all 10 separately right off at the bat. One maybe releases 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. You know, there's a succession of releases on the lock. Maybe it's a year or two. I'm not sure. People check out the paper there, the website. So yes, it's essentially all locked up, all those tokens in liquidity, in staged releases.
All right. And what about the mission of Bobber?
You know, I'm not sure about that just yet. Every 3 months, Maverick said the mission it's a cute beaver.
Is it about making our lives funnier?
I think it's making it funner, and he's using it as a community outreach and engagement into Ergo, kind of an entry portal into Ergo, that kind of thing. So yeah.
All right.
Social. He says every 3 months, 2.5 years total until all 10 LPs are unlocked.
Some comments. The Dan running away from Bobber. You scared Dan with Bobber question.
His Bobberphobia.
He has Bobberphobia. All right, so it seems it's kind of Bobber chat today.
We've got one more question. Here we go. For you, Alex. You recently mentioned you were aiming for top 3. Do you actually mean it? I think it's too ambitious. What do you think will be the real catalyst for Ergo to join the big leagues?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I think unfortunately the space is stabilized. Right. So basically, we have what's interesting around. So Bitcoin, Monero, and Ergo. Right. If we are talking about real cryptocurrencies, and I think in the long term, value propositions will realize, right? So we don't know how, right? But because it's not possible to predict anything. So if you wanted to loaf ourselves, just write down your crypto predictions and open in 1 year, right? So sometimes in 1 month even. It would be enough to just loaf, right, ourselves. But yeah, so I believe those 3 do have long-term value propositions, right? And that's the only thing which does matter. So in 5 years, let's say, I'm not sure there will be Binance around or any other centralized exchange, right? I'm pretty sure that most of layer 2 projects we do have today, we do witness today, will turn out to be complete garbage, right? And so on. Yeah, well, a lot of dramatic, absurd and so on events we will witness as usually. But yeah, well, with time, I think on the value proposition does matter.
What do you see the CEXs, the central exchanges, turning into in 5 years? You see them just diminishing, small versions of what they were, or completely, most of them gone, and maybe a few big government-backed central exchanges to get onto crypto on ramps like that, and then things like Rosen Bridge, if there's dexes integrated into them, are fully autonomous, anonymous, and kind of dodging those sanctions because they can't shut it down?
Hard to say. So it seems most of successful centralized exchanges are just doing uh, how to say, some interesting games, right, with legal complexities, let's say, like those Chinese exchanges which are registered in Seychelles, and they were successful, right? But then, and it's still in progress. They are introducing KYC, right, one by one. Then Binance also made a lot of interesting things here.
I like how you say that. Interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth some books, right, about it, about its schemes, right? But yeah, well, currently, they're losing market share, I believe, right? Because they're starting to do things in a cleaner way, and then if you're doing things in a clean and fully legal way, then you're just working on some markets, right? Like US exchanges are doing basically. That's Hong Kong exchange, Hashkey, right? Which is doing well, but in Hong Kong only, and so on. And so, with time, I guess we will see a very fragmented world, right, of exchanges, specialized in certain jurisdictions only, and maybe, still some exchanges which are doing interesting games, right, because, probably there is always some buffer possible here, right, for in interpreting laws and so on. Then there will be probably still a pretty small niche of pirate exchanges, non-KYC exchanges like TradeOrder, Ziggs, and so on, right, non-KYC. So I believe there will be more of them, but yeah, well, it's still will be a niche product, right? And then decentralized exchanges and bridges, yeah, for sure. Probably also equipped with on-ramp and off-ramp options. So it would be a more fragmented world overall, I guess, in 5 years.
We got another question snuck in here, Krishti. They want to know about ZK scaling on Ergo. They heard that the deterministic properties of Cardano will make it easier to use ZK scaling on Ergo.
Yeah, so I don't know what does deterministic properties mean. Because, in Ergo, everything is deterministic.
Right, yeah.
And the signatures also deterministic, by the way. They are truly Schnorr signatures. About ZK scaling. So I'm watching this space from time to time. I'm a member of some chats. I do have a lot of friends in zero knowledge and so on. So in particular, I'm watching things like bulletproofs, compressed Sigma protocols, Hello 2, and it's still too early to use anything like that for Ergo. And also what would be good is to avoid modifying the core protocol, right, breaking it, or even adding some new complex cryptography like paired curves. Yeah, well, probably after 6.0, I will take a closer look to the current state of Hello 2 and what's possible there. I also checked a bit, is it possible to implement bulletproofs check in Ergo script directly, and maybe some additions would be helpful. That would be quite good, right? So still, your contracts verifying bulletproofs would be expensive, but they should be expensive, right? Because even running verifications for zero knowledge, even if it's constant time, theoretically, the case with snark, so it's still if it's asymptotically constant time, so then it's still not that efficient. So then you would have pretty expensive contracts for verifying zero knowledge on Ergo, right? But it would be doable, and it would be enough, right, for having zero knowledge relays and so on. So yeah, I'm checking zero knowledge relays in particular for trustless pegging.
Christy.
Yeah.
So bulletproofs are essentially what's it called? They prove that a secret's within a given range. How's that translate to the usefulness in this procedure?
So it's just a concrete example, right? So they do have concrete implementation for range proofs, but also it's possible to prove basically any statement in zero knowledge. It's not so efficient as snarks. Yeah, I'm not sure about comparison with Starks, but yeah, unlike Snarks, it's fully trustless, so that there is no need for trusted setup ceremonies and so on. And then, there is also now competing approach, compressed Sigma protocols. They also do have some efficient implementations, for example, for threshold conjecture of proof D-locks, right? So then for threshold simplest threshold signatures, it would be possible to have logarithmic sized solution. So currently on Ergo we do have linear size signatures, right? Then for certain applications, maybe it would be beneficial, but also with compressed Sigma protocols, it's possible to prove and verify any statement. It's for compressed Sigma protocols, it seems it could be even constant size and with pretty reasonable assumptions. But it's very new topic, so open source implementations just started. Papers are just like 1-2 years old, so yeah, it's very new topic. The same for Hello 2, which is about recursive composition of zero knowledge proofs using so some tricks over elliptic curves, and it's also a very new topic, and implementations are not quite ready, and probably it's better to wait for more security audits and so on. This topic is not forgotten, and maybe we can start. But so we need to find some applications, right? Because, well, without applications, you have a lot of tools, right? And you need to choose some based on needs of a particular application. Then, I'm thinking about zero knowledge relays in context of sidechaining. Yeah, well, in future we can consider ZK rollups also. I have seen some writings about bulletproof based rollups even, but yeah, maybe it's just theoretical thing at the moment. Yeah, so for rollups, I think it's too early because, well, business model of a rollup is basically to resell block space, right? And Ergo blockchain is still underutilized. So maybe it would be better first to fill the blockchain with sidechains and so on, more applications, right? And then to think about rollups. Especially considering how fast the space is evolving. So in 2 years, you may have much more convenient solutions.
I'm interested to see how once Rosen gets in full swing and it's spanning 4 or 5 different chains, how much information is being stuffed into blocks from the watchers at that point, at least.
Right, but maybe that information could be compressed without rollups even, right? Or maybe with some application-specific rollup technique. So I don't know. So if blockchain is occupied with a particular application, just then I believe that there is no need for some generic solution, right? So you can just find some application-specific solution.
Gotcha.
Like layer 2, maybe even some layer 1 contracts in some case. That depends on the problem.
Well, I think we're at 26 minutes past, Kushti. I think there's 2 more. It's Wailu has 2 questions they're asking. They're asking for the Sigma chain development schedule. I think you already discussed that a little bit. But the Sigma chain using ASICs proof of work and how is Ergo's co-op with Bitmain?
Oh, so let's postpone this to the community chat. So yeah,
great idea.
There will be more information, and well, it's up to Joe, I guess, to well, announce anything. Yeah.
Sure. I think that's it.
So Rosen bridges. Oh, from ETH to ADA. But
they want to know how it works.
Let's respond. So well, no, not so easy questions.
The Rosen one? Well, yeah. So maybe you just want a explanation of how the bridge works, I guess. Yeah.
We're already out of schedule, so we can take some super simple question about Bobber, but
I'll hit Rosen real quick. I can explain it in 30 seconds, Kushti.
All right, go for that.
All right. So Rosen is essentially a messaging system. All right. So you have a set of people, watchers, that watch the chains that these transactions are occurring on. So let's say you're in Ethereum and you enter the contract that says, I want to move this to Cardano. So it creates that transaction that you dump it in the wallet, you dump your Ethereum into it, wanting to bring it over as RSF into Cardano. The watchers see that are watching that chain. They post a message in Ergo. The guards then look at that message in Ergo and go out and verify that transactions for themselves. Once that consensus is made, actually on both parts, the watchers' consensus have to reach a threshold, and then the guards will be triggered. Once the guards reach a consensus that everything's okay, they then simply release the RS Ethereum on Cardano's side. So you can see that it never makes a hop from Ethereum to Ergo to Cardano, but in actuality, all the security, all the watching, all the guard activity is still happening and being written into the Ergo blockchain. So that's how Ergo is still being used in that instance, but it's not making the actual funds never make a hop. The funds never make a hop. It's more of like a it's more like Star Trek, right? Where you, in the teleporters, the theory is that when you go through a portal device, you're actually dying and being reconstituted a copy on the other side. So it's similar to that, where your Ethereum is going into a contract on Ethereum. It's not dying, but it's locked up. Can't do anything about it. And then the guards are just unlocking some RSF on Cardano and giving it to you. But it's that whole messaging process and all the security being stuck on Ergo that makes it the secure bridge that it is, as well as a massive amount of consensus that's needed. What do we have, over 100 guards now on Ergo kind of thing? Oh, he didn't make it clear. He knows how bridges work. Great. How does it work to the current A to Erg bridge? And if we're bridging A to F, how would it benefit Erg? It works the same way as the ADA to Erg bridge, exact same way. There's no difference. It's no difference whatsoever. It's as far as that goes, they had to build a custom connector to deal with Ethereum as far as that goes, to understand that. But how would it benefit Erg? There's a couple ways that it could benefit Erg, at least in my head. Kushti probably can speak on some more examples. But liquidity going both ways can be helpful. Liquidity moving out of Erg essentially makes Erg more scarce on Erg, which will impact price potentially and the availability of Ergs. Ergo also has some pretty amazing things that other ecosystems can take part of. And I mean, look at duck pools, for instance. We're at over 100%. What are we at for Sig USD, Kushti? We are at 97% APY right now on Sig USD in the pool at 96% utilization. And even then, Kushti, if you look down at the bottom of the page, this was a cool thing that we discovered in Sig's chat, or Cannon reminded us of Sig's chatting today. What is ADA staking right now? ADA staking is what, 3 to 6%, right? For staking your ADA. You could bring your ADA over to Ergo and put it in the Rosen ADA pool and make a guaranteed 5.32%, right, from just loaning it out. So you have bigger staking, more income possibly than staking by loaning it. So we have all these amazing tools on Ergo that once Rosen Bridge opens us up and people come in, the hope is that that'll increase TVL, that'll increase action on these apps and people utilizing them. For that interface. So those are the two big things that I feel. Scarcity by people moving either one chain and coming over to another one, perhaps, and people being attracted to all our tools that we're using here. Kushti, what about you? What do you think the advantages for the ecosystem are people coming over from Rosen or leaving via Rosen?
Yeah, so I think the question was about how ADA to ETH bridge would be useful for Ergo, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So here Ergo is used as a kind of public bulletin board, right? So data storage, and at least miners are getting fees, right, from that activity, and Ergs also need it, right, to write data then and so on. That's about ADA to ETH, but about Rosen Bridge in general. So it's about bringing liquidity out, right, and also bringing in, and so then locking more Ergs in the ecosystem. So Ergo is already number one proof of work cryptocurrency by TVL locked in DeFi, right? And every day the number is growing. So you mentioned dark pools, and just today the CQSD pool got our 100k CQSD, right?
Right. Yep. Amazing.
Rosen Bridge, I believe, so also is sending ERC every day, right, to Cardano to be utilized in Cardano's DeFi, and then I think utilizing ERC in Ethereum DeFi would be huge. And then bringing Bitcoin, right, on Ergo also would be huge for Ergo DeFi. So you just mentioned Cardano APY, right? But for proof of work cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, so your APY is 0, right? So then,
correct. Yeah.
Then it would be possible to get something on dark pools and so on.
bring some RS Bitcoin, RS BTC over and make a pool on duck pools. That'd be fantastic. I see something pop up on Sigmafy. Right now in Sigmafy, we're still almost at 400,000 TVL, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and Sigmafy is slowly growing, right? And yeah, so then Spectrum, right? So RSBTC also would be on Spectrum with liquidity pools, also locking Erg and so on. So I think with more bridges and so on, we will have very significant share of Ergs locked in DeFi on Ergo and also outside, and it would be very interesting, right? So the first proof of work cryptocurrency with such interesting configuration, let's say, right? And
yeah,
possibly also interesting games, right? Because of that. Liquidity games and so on.
Krishti, speaking of liquidity games and other games in general, you said you said a statement several times in the AMA today. I think we either need to make a token out of it, or I think we need to see another project for fun out of you in your spare time. You need to make a money printer somehow, a money printing game.
Yeah.
Where everybody loses. I think that's great. And then it goes into the Sigs treasury. Why don't we do that?
All right. So I don't know, but there are already some funny money printing games like Auction Coin, right? But
right.
Well, it's hard to say who is losing and who is winning there. So yes, still trying to understand how's it working, but it's actually doing quite well, right? So well, it's hard to dump it, actually, at least.
You know, these silly dogs. The only thing with Auction Coin is I just keep forgetting to check the auctions and buy them. It's like a consistency thing. You know, I'll see it and I'm like, oh, I got to buy this, and then I forget. So it'd be nice to some sort of modifiers or notifiers that will ping you. Maybe Crux Finance can do that or something like that.
Yeah, and actually, we are talking with Non-Real about doing more kinds of auction coin games, like locking some commits in auction coin framework and so on. And it would be also interesting to test different kinds of auctions, right? Or maybe combining, right? So issuing a token, for example, lock 1/3 in a liquidity pool, for example, 1/3 in auction coin and 1/3 in staking contract, right? And then how would that work? So a lot of degen options, right?
I'm excited for the day that somebody uses Auction Coin to launch a token and to see how the community reacts to build up the liquidity pool there and set the price of the token essentially right off the bat. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. But when you have a few components, right, like staking, auction coin, and initial liquidity lock, maybe option coin as well. So I also published at some point an idea to do emission via selling options, right? Which is also quite interesting, I guess. And also could be very degen because, well, in this case, during emissions, so you are so the contract, the emission contract is selling volatility, right, in the first place.
So the emission contract is literally selling options?
It's selling options, right? At the current LP price, for example.
That's pretty complicated, but that would be fun as hell.
It's complicated, but see, in this case, the emission contract is selling volatility as well as tokens, right? So when you are buying option, you are buying not tokens because it's up to you whether to exercise it or not. But you are buying volatility basically, right? Hedge against volatility, and then contract is selling you this volatility, right? So the bigger volatility, the bigger the price. But yeah, for simplicity, it could be fixed, right, in the contract. And then when you have these in comparison with auction coins, so the emission contract is getting more from sales, right? Probably. And then yeah, well. Those money got from selling volatility and also sometimes tokens, right? So those money are used to pump up the price in the liquidity pool, and so also increasing volatility, right? So then this contract is is actually yeah, trying to increase volatility and at the same time sell it, right? Basically.
That makes me think, Kushti, how hard is it with option contracts, at least? How hard is it? Like you saw the field that's coming out, right? That Ken and Q is working on, that new project where there's going to be some sort of betting on things. And that brings me to my base question here. You know, so many things could open up in the Ergo ecosystem, especially with things like options trading. If we could options trade based on data feeds coming into Ergo, trusted, you know, on-chain data feeds, oracles. So can you explain how difficult it is for, let's say, somebody that doesn't have developer experience and they want to start providing, let's say they want to start providing stocks on chain on Ergo, you know, some sort of data like that with maybe the bigger index funds or things like that. How difficult is it essentially in programming hours to take Oracle version 2 and customize the feeds that are coming into it and use a decentralized network to run, you know, custom data feeds into Ergo? Let's say, not just that, but it could be like with the field, sports betting or sports scores or any sort of data chain coming on. How difficult of a job is that to take what you guys have done with Oracle 2 and refactor that into a new data feed?
Yeah, so for stocks price, it would be not hard because you just need to do custom data publisher, and that's it, right? For one-time events like spot events, that would be more complicated, right? I actually need to think, well, how to modify.
But not just that, Christy. Let's say you could, how neat would it be to take out options contracts on the price of Ethereum in an Ergo, in the options website on Ergo? You know, if we could just bring a feed of those other token prices into Ergo on chain, then we could, you know, set an options price on that, or sell options contracts based on that, but with a backing of Ergo or what other token you want to give up if the price fails. So essentially it's, you know, options contracts are betting, but it's betting on crypto prices inside Ergo from other chains on the options site.
Oh wait, but when you are buying this option, so what you are getting?
I think you'd have to do the equivalent price somehow. So maybe a stable coin, an equivalent price or something.
But then it's about synthetics, right?
Yeah, so it'd be synthetics, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Oracle site is not hard about synthetics. So yeah, I'm actually not quite following this field, so I need to check what others are doing. But yeah, I don't see any complexities here.
I just feel once if we can get this data on Ergo, so many things will open up as far as I guess. I mean, once Rosen's up, right, you can make options contracts based on RSF, or you can make, you can do those kind of things and actually have the actual asset there and bet on that.
So but then if you have RSF, so you can issue options, right?
Correct. Yeah. But in all fairness, are the options contracts going to look at the price of RS ETH, or is it going to look at the price of ETH? Because depending on the liquidity of the pool with RS ETH, that could sway quite wildly if the depth wasn't done. So what are you actually betting on there at that point? What's the textbook there? What should it be pegged to? What should the option contract be pegged to in that instance?
Oh, I don't know. So it depends on option writer, right? So could be both options. Maybe using ETH, so Oracle provided price would be better, right? If LP is thin.
Correct. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, the more stable one. Yep.
And as far as I know, so currently Haley is working on a possibility to issue options via contracts. So add support to the options contracts to make them issuable by other contracts. Right, and after that, so we can have option coin and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right, Christy, I'm getting the old shepherd hook from Andy in a DM.
But yes. So last words, as we have a lot of bobber chatting here. So yeah, well, it would be good to see more Degen schemes, right?
I agree.
Like auction option, liquidity pools, what else? Staking contracts and so on. That would be funny, but also it also would be not so useless as just some meme coins on Solana, right? Which are just about, as far as I know, issuing some tokens, and then it's kind of lottery whether the team will rug pull you or not. Right, so it's better to play with some schemes, right, and see how they would work. All right. So it's time to wrap up the MA, definitely.
Andy's even said goodbye for us. He took over the chat and said bye.
All right. Yeah. So goodbye, everyone. If anyone is around still.
Yeah, we still got quite a few people. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining.
All right. Bye. Have a good day.